The fighter is a character class that on paper can seem very boring, but once you really get going in Baldur's Gate 3, especially as you reach the upper levels of fighter, you'll find that you are one of the most disgusting classes in the game, able to dish out absolute tons of damage with either your abilities or your gear. Or if you're maybe even just playing as Lae'zel and you're trying to get either her quest done or her as a companion, you can get access to some very, very strong armor. So in this video today, we're going to be talking about the fighter and if it's any good in Baldur's Gate 3. And this is your first time on my channel, the way I like to do things here is by upfronting the knowledge of my videos, so you can stick around to see if it's the right one for you. So with that being said, I'll tell you that the fighter is actually very, very strong in BG3. You can simply choose a pure fighter up to level 11 if you want, 12 is your max level, and you're going to get improved extra attack, so you're dealing out 3 rounds of melee damage every time you do an attack main action, or just normal action. And you can get additional feats, right? You get feats at 4, 6, 8, and 12, which is just going to give you so many damn feats as the fighter. And you have such a strong subclass in the Battlemaster that the fighter is one of those ones that can really just dish out so much damage. You're going to get gloves that make using action surge completely disgusting. Using heavy armor with certain heavy armors, you can make it so you take near no damage. So this is a veritable tank that can really dish out a ton of damage. So if that's all you want to know, please feel free to shut the video down if you so wish. But before you do, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. Each one of those things does help me out in an absolute huge way, and I would greatly appreciate it. Also, don't forget to check me out on Twitch, where I stream Baldur's Gate 3 and a number of other games every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. You can find that link in the description below. But let's get started here on, is the fighter any good in Baldur's Gate 3? So let's look at some stuff with the fighter as far as its general abilities go before we even really get into subclass discussions and stuff like that. And I've already done a whole video on how to build fighters. You can find that linked in the description, upper right corner, all that fun action. But just starting off, we do get a second wind as a nice heal for the fighter. That is a bonus action, and that's going to increase by 1 every level. So right now it says 1d10 plus 1 because we're level 1 fighter, but as we get up to level 12, that'll be 1d10 plus 12. So we'll go ahead and confirm this. Am I a great weapon? Yeah, we're a great weapon fighter because that's what I want to showcase. And we'll go ahead and kind of take a look at some of the leveling here. Because at level 2, we get one of the best abilities as a fighter, and it's Action Surge. So immediately gain an extra action to use this turn. You can stack this capability with a Potion of Speed, and now you have 3 actions that you're doing on the first turn. If you're a level 11 fighter and you have improved extra attack, that is 9 bouts of melee damage, if you want to think of it that way. That is such a destructive amount of damage coming out of your character. And we're going to go ahead and just press accept here and push us into our discussion about subclasses. And another thing for progression at level 9, we get Indomitable. So you have become as durable as an iron golem. Whenever you fail a saving throw, you can roll again using the new result instead. So what you're getting out of that is the ability to kind of dodge a very specifically hard, heavy hit that would come your way. Now this does reset every long rest, so just kind of keep that in mind. You're not going completely ass crazy with this, re-rolling every single failed saving throw. But this is really kind of a nice get out of jail free card for your fighter. So subclass options for your fighter, you've got 3 different ones, but in this video I'm talking about the Battlemaster, which I think honestly is the strongest of the 3 because it adds such strong utility to the actual class itself. First, you get Riposte here, and Riposte is really nice because it basically weaponizes any miss that a hostile creature has against you, because you're doing an extra 1d8 of damage, which eventually becomes an extra 1d10 of damage, because that's how superiority die works. Once you hit level 10, it goes from a 1d8 to a 1d10. But you also get some abilities to move things with either pushing attack, where you push them 15 feet and do 1d8, or trip attack, where you knock them prone. Prone, remember here, attacks against a prone creature have advantage, and they have a disadvantage, right? And they can't move or attack, do bonus actions or reactions, disadvantage on strength and dexterity saving throws. It's a really nice way to kind of manipulate the battlefield around you. So let's just say trip attack here. But even over, you have precision attack to really pour on a ton of additional damage in an alpha strike situation. You can spend a superiority die to add it to the result to an attack roll, or feinting attack. You use both your action and bonus action on a turn to attack a target with advantage and deal an additional 1d8. There's just so many good capabilities that you have here in just your first 3 options as Battlemaster. And Battlemaster, you're going to get a total of 4 more maneuvers to add into this. What's nice about this is you could even take one of your 4 feats and put it towards the ability to get 2 more maneuvers and an extra superiority die. So you have so much capability in a pure Battlemaster fighter that allows you to really rip up the competition. So just to show off more about the Battlemaster and our capabilities, this character is level 10, and I've chosen the Martial Adept feat. That's going to give me 2 more maneuvers here. So what you can see is that I have Second Wind and I have Action Surge. But now I have Precision Attack. I have Trip Attack. This menacing attack allows me to frighten things. Well, that's the ranged version of it. But you get a melee and a ranged version of all these. So if you wanted to go with a ranged fighter, you definitely can. But menacing attack will allow me to frighten targets. Maneuvering attack, attack an enemy on a hit. You can use forced maneuver on an ally. So the ally can then increase an ally's movement speed by 50%. They don't provoke opportunity attacks. This gives me some ability to add a lot of utility to my entire party in a really, really cool, fun way, right? Fanning attack, which we talked about, that advantage and bonus attack. Disarming attack, which is very good. I did not bring up, but focus your attack on your foe's hands and possibly force them to drop the weapon. That's great. Maneuvering attack we talked about, and trip attack we already talked about. The only other one here is rally, which just kind of gives 8 temp hit points. It's only 8 temp hit points, but still it's 8 temp hit points, so you just give it out. I just kind of chose one. But still, the fact here remains that with even pushing attack as well, you have so many abilities to manipulate the battlefield as a Battlemaster here that we can, ignore all these items that you see in front of you. We can use a potion of speed here and add another action to our character so that we've got our action surge going, our potion of speed going. We have all these abilities we can take advantage of. Now, keep in mind too, something like precision attack, it doesn't require an action. I'm using a superiority die to buff up an action I'm about to take. Your next weapon attack gets an attack roll bonus equal to your superiority die. So precision attack does have kind of a bit of a diminishing return there, right? As you use it, you're going to have less superiority die to pull from, so this bonus is less and less. But still, my point remains here that you can use a lot of these abilities, layer these things up to do the damage you want to do. You look at something like trip attack, that is an action, so it would cost that as well as a superiority die, but still you can kind of see what utility that Battlemaster fighter brings to you. And expanding too into our feat options for fighter, I'm not going to go into every single one of them like I did for my other video, but to focus on specifically Great Weapon Master here, I'm going to be able to now do more damage with my great weapons at the penalty of an attack roll, -5 to my attack roll, which we can offset later, of course. When you land a critical hit or kill a target with the melee weapon, you can make another melee attack as a bonus action that turn. So you are just layering on so many capabilities of additional amounts of damage you're dealing out, because you know what? Critically hitting someone ain't that hard to do, or just killing them outright with a melee weapon attack ain't that hard to do. So you get a whole nother bonus action of damage. And again, especially if you have improved extra attack, you just have so many more weapon attacks coming out. Also, I want to show off heavy weapon or heavy armor master, because this gives you +1 to your strength, which is really good. So if you start out with 17 strength, it puts you at 18. And there's a lot of ways to get your strength up. The nice thing about going fighter and strength rather than dexterity, right, going with like a finesse fighter, is that there are so many options for additional strength in this game, and that is huge because it requires less actual investment feat or ability point wise to get your strength up. But heavy armor master also, incoming damage from non-magical attacks also decreases by 3 while wearing heavy armor. I'm going to show you with the adamantine armor how that gets really disgusting. And I do apologize, there will be some light spoilers in this video towards the gear section, and I'll try to curtail them as much as I can. But just those 2 feats alone are really strong. Or if you want to take a different approach, you go with a Polearm Master and Sentinel. This is really common for those of you that have played 5th edition. This is a really, really strong wombo combo here. But you use Polearm Master to make opportunity attacks when people come into range. Also, you can hit people with the butt of your weapon. That's cool. But Sentinel now, you gain advantage on opportunity attacks, and they stop dead when they come in range of you, right? So you basically have Sentinel and Polearm Master to stop people from moving and use your zone of control as essentially blocking things out, zoning things out, right? So you have glaive, halberd, quarterstaff, or spears that can use this, and you get access to a really strong halberd. towards the beginning of Act 2, I want to say, and there's a lot of glaives in this game that you can bump into. You can use a spear right in the early portion of the game as well. So Polearm Master is something you can get off the ground very early in your playthrough rather than waiting for something like, say, a specific armor set to really get something really going for the heavy armor master, but even then, it's still good. Now this section on gear, there will be some light spoilers. I might mention where certain things are or talk about them kind of loosely. I'm going to try not to. I don't want to spoil anything. I want you guys to enjoy the experience, but just kind of a bit of a heads up there. So gear conversation here is mainly geared towards Act 1 and the early Act 2 as far as what I'm going to show you, because I don't want you to think that, yeah, sure, maybe Fighter's really good in the late game, or it's going to take a long time for my power spike to hit. That's definitely not the case. And the fighter can get very strong very quickly, even right off of the Illithid ship. If you get the Avernus, or the Everburning Blade from the Cambion general that you're fighting right on the Illithid ship, you use Shadowheart, you open up her spellbook, you press K to open up your spellbook if you're in a PC, I'm not sure what it is on console, and you have her use the command, or the spell, command, and you use the command, drop weapon. You'll basically quick save right before you attempt it and just keep reloading until he drops his weapon, and then you just have any one of your characters pick that sword up. And that sword is useful from the beginning of the game, pretty much all the way until like the beginning, middle point of Act 2, depending upon which character you're playing as and so on and so forth. But that is a really strong opener to your game. And if you're playing as Lae'zel, in the mid to late portions of Act 1, you can get a sword that is unique to her actual quest. I don't want to talk about because I don't want to spoil it, but it's a really damn strong sword that does a ton of damage. It is a really, really, really good one. You can get Svartalbee's Wound Seeker as well, which you would get in Act 1 when you go to Joaquin's Rest. Rather than helping out, you would do the opposite. That's all I'm going to say to be without a spoiler, but that thing does 1d4 extra damage to anything that's already taken damage. So it's immediately does a ton of damage for you. And some other really good weapons that stand out are even just like the base Githyanki Greatsword is really solid. But in Moonrise Towers, you get the Halberd of Vigilance here. You know, it gained +1 bonus to initiative rolls and advantage on perception ability checks. When you make an attack roll as a reaction, you make it with advantage. So we already have seen with Sentinel and with Polearm Master, we can pull so many reactions out of that character. And this has a +2 as well. It does also a force damage multiplier added into it. So you have a really strong weapon that you can get for it's not that expensive, right at Moonrise Towers, right at the beginning of Act 2. So a lot of really great two-handed weapons. Now, if you do want to go with one-handed weapon options, some really good standout ones are stuff like Faithbreaker here. You're going to get this in the Goblin Camp, of course. But absolute power, it is every short rest, unfortunately, but it does do a brick house shit ton of damage. That is really going to knock something off of its feet. So it's a great early weapon that is versatile, so you can use it as one-handed or two-handed, which is very nice. You'll encounter a certain creature in the game that is weak to bludgeoning, and this is a really good one to use to crack it open. The Falar Aluve, which is the singing sword, is also granted very early in the game, and it gives you an ability to use its melody option to either do damage or increase everyone's damage around you by 1d4. So it's a really sick weapon that you can use if you want to go the one-handed or dual-wielding weapon route. There's the sort of life-stealing you get right at the end, some really strong options. And then when it comes to a shield with those, if you want to go with a shield, the adamantine shield that you get at the end of Act 1 is also very strong here. When a melee attack misses you, the attacker is sent reeling for 2 turns, and you have a shield bash here, and attackers can't land crit hits against you. Reeling, they have -1 penalty to attack rolls for every turn remaining. It's just so -2, then -1, and then it goes off. So really great weapon options here for your fighter. But what about some good armor and accessory items? And it really all starts with this. This is probably the strongest set of gauntlets you might use the entirety of the game. I don't want to spoil the end. That you might use for the entirety of your fighter playthrough, because you use this with Action Surge. And the way to get the most out of this is you pop Action Surge first, and then you do the rest of your actions. So when you use Action Surge, gain a 1d4 bonus to attack rolls for the rest of your turn. So you can layer this up with a Potion of Heroism. You can layer this up with Bless from any one of your Bless casting characters. And then you use Action Surge, and you're going to get so many benefits to your attack rolls. Also, Strength Saving Throws +1. That's always kind of nice, right? When it comes to generic armor, if you collect a lot of the infernal metal, you can get these two headpieces, the flawed Hell Dusk helmet. The wielder has +2 bonus saving throws against spells, which is fine and all, but then the flawed Hell Dusk armor here, lesser infernal retribution. When you're hit by a foe within 7 feet, it might take 1 to 4 damage, 1 less piercing damage. It's just a nice kind of easy to get, very cheap, solid, heavy armor. But as far as particularly good pieces of armor go, you can get the adamantine scale or the adamantine splint armor. So the adamantine scale and split armor they differ only in slight ways. The scale armor is 16 armor class versus the splint is 18. They are both magical plate, but this one, the scale is all incoming damage reduced by 1. The splint is all damage is reduced by 2. So what you'll see here is if you stack that with heavy armor master, all incoming damage is then reduced by 5 if you use the splint armor. You can see how that gets really disgusting. Adamantine Backlash is the same thing as the shield. It sends things reeling for 2 turns with the scale mail, 3 turns with the splint armor. So you can see here also that you also don't get attackers can't land crit strikes on the wearer. So you get so many juicy benefits from the adamantine scale or splint armor depending upon the route you want to take. Are you a dex-based character? Go with the medium. Are you a strength-based person just going hard in the paint on heavy armor? Go with that splint armor. You're going to get a ton of benefit out of it. At the end of Act 1-2, you can couple this with the Grim Skull. Attackers can't land crit strikes on the wearer. So you can see all these crit strike stuff do stack up, but it just depends which one you want to go with. Grants resistance to fire damage, but also this important little ditty right here, Hunter's Mark. So this is a concentration spell, so keep that in mind, but it's a bonus action. So you as a warrior, fighter, you can get this turned on very quickly, and anything you hit now takes an additional 1 to 6 slashing damage. So this is a great way to layer a lot of additional damage onto targets, and it's a really good way to just kind of get it going with a quick little bonus action. Outside of those things, though, you do have stuff like Gloves of Battle Mage's Power. If you wanted to go with the Eldritch Knight, so when a weapon attack roll inflicts a condition, the wielder gains arcane acuity. Here, this is, as you can see, +1 bonus to its spell attack rolls and spell difficulty class per turn remaining. It's if you want to go with a more Eldritch Knight. But Gloves of Missile Snaring, you get these right at the very beginning of the game. You can intercept missiles from ranged weapon attacks, reducing your damage by 1d10 plus your dex modifier. So if you want to just kind of go with something that knocks down missiles, it's right there. And then as far as boots go, you have so many boots that give you tons of mobility. Boots of Speed give you click heals. These ones over here are going to have, every time the wearer dashes, they get momentum, which is increasing your movement for every turn remaining. Quick heals is nice though, because this basically, didn't mean to rest, but this basically gives us the ability. Here, there we go. Your movement speed doubles and enemies have disadvantage on opportunity attacks. There are tons of boots that give you Misty Step that allow you to teleport all over the place, which is stupid strong. This Harper's Necklace, you get it from the inn right at the beginning of Act 2, and it gives you shield. And if you don't know what shield does, look at that. Increase your armor class by 5 as a reaction, and you take no damage from magic missile. Crusher's Ring, you get this in the Goblin Camp, increase your movement speed by 10 feet. You're going to get this towards the end of the beginning of Act 3 or very end of Act 2, but Killer's Sweetheart. When you kill a creature, your next attack roll will be a critical hit. Once spent, this effect refreshes after a long rest. This is the end of Act 2, now I remember it. So you can see that there are so many ways to pull even more damage capabilities out of your fighter. You can really stack all these things up to just absolutely crush something's face. So let's showcase how all these things come together. We have Lae'zel here. We've jumped into a little Act 3 fight. We're going to pop ourselves a potion of speed, and then we're going to use our action surge. Now we've used our action surge, and that is going to give us burst of accuracy. You have 1d4 bonus to attack rolls after using action surge, as we've talked about before. I also am in range of the Singing Sword, which gives me 1d4 bonus to mental attack rolls and saving throws as well. So we're going to attack this Steel Watcher, and what I want you to consider before we even do anything is the fact that this Steel Watcher has piercing, bludgeoning, and slashing resistance, meaning it's going to have effectively the damage coming its way from those sources as long as it's non-magical. So that could kind of give you a bit of an idea of how much damage we're going to do, but also deal with the resistance as well, but it's still nonetheless going to be potent. So we're going to open up with Precision Attack. This is going to, of course, give us a roll bonus to our superiority attack. Oh, I'm sorry, a roll, gets an attack roll bonus equal to your superiority dice, is what I meant to say. So then we're going to open up with disarming attack, because it's quite a bit of damage. Boom, and it's a critical hit, which is just absolutely juicy, doing 42 damage with 6 force. That's still only 1 action, and it did not disarm it, so we're going to go ahead and do it again. Might miss 70%. Boom, another 29 glorious damage. Kind of a weak for a crit hit, but I'll take it. Still did not disarm, but that was only 1 action, and it's down to 122 at a 206 health. So we can go ahead, you know what, we'll use another superiority die, and we'll really try to bring this disarm home at 95%. Ah, miss, of course, why wouldn't we? Makes it perfectly good for a video. We can try to do it again here. That's 23 more damage, and we still have a whole nother action's worth of damage to do. Now I'm just going to do generic swings here. Maybe we hit. Oh, crit hit. Maybe we miss. Okay, well, still. So, all in all, we did 61. Well, it has a resulting 61 health left after everything. Consider this is a level 10 fighter. If I was a level 11 fighter, we would have gotten 1 more round of attack per each attack action with improved extra attack. Would have been 3 more rounds of damage. This thing definitely would have been dead. And on top of it too, it has a resistance to the damage that we're doing. It definitely would have been dead. We could have used feint attack too had we not used our potion of speed. I did a critical hit and I forgot to use our great weapon bonus master attack thing here, but we didn't have a bonus action anyway. So you can really see how there's so many avenues of damage that I could have dealt in this situation, and we dealt quite a bit, even considering the amount of times we missed, which is still pretty substantial. In addition to that too, we did single target damage. I've kind of toolkitted this out to be single target damage, but I could have focused on cleaves. I could have used the battle maneuvers that do multiple damage or damage to multiple targets around me. I could have really focused on the ring that allows me to have benefits if I have multiple targets around me. So you can take your fighter and you can make them into a ranged destroyer of worlds. You can make them into a single target beat stick. You can make them an AoE destroyer if you so wish. There are so many ways that you can make fighter out to be a far more substantial character than I think people most often see on paper, because they maybe just think it's a pretty bare bones class. I will admit, if you play maybe a champion, it is a very bare bones class. But still, playing a Battlemaster, you get almost like a whole kit of abilities here, and then you just simply need a short rest to get your superiority die back online. It's an extremely destructive class, and I think you would have a lot of fun either kitting Lae'zel out to be this way, or playing your main character as a fighter, or play as Lae'zel as your main character, whatever it is. There are so many ways you can take advantage of a fighter to really have a ton of fun in Baldur's Gate 3. Feel free to leave any comments below if there are any ways that you've configured your fighter to have really amazing situations unfold for you, or really amazing configurations with other multi-classes or other ways to approach this class, because it is one of the most diverse classes. And again, to pair it, something I said like 9 times on this damn video, it's one I think a lot of people dodge because it doesn't seem like it has a lot of flash from the start, but it's something that even very early in the game gets off its feet and really gets to punching. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Hopefully this galvanizes you into trying a fighter out in your playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3, but have a good one and take care.